On November 29, 2016, WWE introduced 205 Live, a brand new show to spotlight the members of the then returning Cruiserweight division. The show was far from a success, as seen by the fact most people didn't care about the division up until its move to NXT last year. Nonetheless, despite its lousy management on Raw, the roster still made the most of their time in the ring and gave us a number of quality matches across the past 4 years. So, to celebrate the show's 4th anniversary and all the memories created to those madmen who stuck around to watch the show, I've decided to look back at the best encounters it had to offer. I'm Pomi Wrestling, and these are the best 15 matches in 205 Live's history. Let's begin! At number 15, we have Neville vs Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight title. Neville reigned supreme atop the division for the better part of 2017, and just before reaching the end of his WWE career, he had a series of bouts against Tozawa. All their matches were great, with their title change on Raw probably being the most well-known one. However, they had one last match after SummerSlam, and it freaking ruled! Both men pushed each other to their limits, with several callbacks to their previous outings, to the point the crowd thought they might see another title change. Easily Neville's last truly outstanding match in WWE. At number 14, Tony Nese vs Drew Gulak. Nese and Gulak were partners for the first couple of years of 205 Live, but all that would change in the 2018 soft reboot of the show, when Drew destroyed Tony in the first round of a tournament, adding a more aggressive side to his character. A year later, they met again in the semi-finals of a similar tournament, and this time Tony was on a path to championship gold. They once again meshed their vastly different in-ring styles brilliantly and created a superior sequel to their previous encounter, with Tony coming out victorious en route to the biggest win of his career. At number 13, Drew Gulak vs Isaiah Swerve Scott. Before his move to the main roster, Drew managed to win the Cruiserweight title in mid-2019, and as part of his path of dominance, he clashed with a future star of the division in Isaiah Swerve Scott. This seemingly random matchup was an effective test for Swerve, who was still very new to the audience at the time. They worked a smart bout, with Gulak constantly targeting Swerve's head while he did his best to keep up and hit his offense in spite of the pain. Even at the peak of his championship run, Gulak made his opponent look like a true star in the making. At number 12, Tony Nese vs Akira Tozawa. Nese and Tozawa have faced each other several times since 205 Live's inception back in 2016, but it's only after Nese's fairly short title reign that they got the chance to show what they could do when given more than just a few minutes and a main event slot. This was a showcase of all the chemistry these men developed over their many bouts, with some superb counters, a wild fast pace, and even the introduction of a brand new finisher. They had a sensational bout, which served as a worthy final singles meeting between these two. At number 11, Mustafa Ali vs Hideo Itami in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Among all of Ali's suits on the show, his rivalry with Itami stands out because of its surprising levels of brutality. They had a series of matches in 2018, with Itami winning the first one by viciously brutalizing Ali, and Ali forcing a double countout in the second one. When they finally battled for the third time, they brought their most aggressive sides in a violent match filled with several rough-looking spots that utilized the ringside and its elements to its full potential. It was an excellent end to one of 205 Live's most hard-hitting storylines, and a highlight of both men's WWE careers. At number 10, Oni Lorcan vs Arya Daivari in an Anything Goes match. In early 2019, Oni Lorcan joined the Cruiserweight division and quickly rose to the upper card. However, on his way to a title shot, he crossed paths with longtime 205 member Arya Daivari. They had a short feud that concluded in a surprisingly intense and weapon-heavy match that felt pretty much like a table, ladders and chairs match, with huge moves at every corner, especially the ones involving the latter. It accomplished its goal of putting over Lorcan as a viable title contender, and it even made Ibarri look like a bigger threat than he originally did. At number 9, Buddy Murphy vs Kalisto. Back when Murphy made his 205 debut, he looked good against the likes of Ibarri and Ali, as well as in a multi-man match, but was still quite improved as a single star in the fans' eyes. That is, until this random matchup on the go-home show to WrestleMania completely elevated Murphy into the next level. Their in-ring styles meshed perfectly, with Kalisto flying all over the place, and Murphy showing off his mix of strikes and power moves. Kalisto's selling helped Murphy look like a future champion, and it wouldn't take long until Murphy lived up to the potential he displayed in this match. At number 8, Roderick Strong vs Hideo Itami. During the 2018 title tournament, 205 Live had a number of wrestlers make cameo appearances. We saw the likes of Tyler Bate and Mark Andrews take part in it, but it was Roderick Strong who had the most eventful run, and it all started with his bout against the still undefeated Hideo Itami. They had a very physical encounter with stitched strikes and some harsh-looking maneuvers. It was far different from what's usually seen on this show, and it made for a thrilling change of pace. Both men looked legit coming out of the match, and the shocking result made it a memorable moment. At number 7, Tony Nese vs Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight title. Nese and Murphy were partners for most of Murphy's run on the brand. They had several feuds and encounters well received by both die-hard fans and casual crowds watching. But once Murphy became champion, it was clear there was only one way their story could end. They had a decent match at Mania, but Murphy had one last banger left in him. On the post-Mania show, Murphy and Tony got 20 minutes to fully pack of action, featuring all of their greatest hits and more, in quite possibly the best thing to come out of that year's post-WrestleMania shows. Murphy did everything in his power to make Tony look as strong as possible on his way out, and he completely succeeded. At number 6, Cedric Alexander vs Roderick Strong. On his way to his big WrestleMania title win, Cedric Alexander had to go through Roderick Strong in this incredibly close semi-finals encounter. Their match started slowly but quickly sped up with several smooth move chains and reversals. Buddy did a great job playing a pseudo-heel weeks before his actual heel turn, and helped Cedric shine brighter as the babyface. The ending sequence was very nerve-wracking, with some serious close calls and near falls. It really made me want to see a rematch between these two, which unfortunately has yet to occur. But at least we still got this fantastic bout, which marked an end to Roddy's short run in 205 Live. At number 5, Cedric Alexander vs Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. Drew Gulak had a very eventful 205 Live career, with his more comedic side standing out early on. However, once he was allowed to go full serious in 2018, he really hit his stride and started doing his best work in WWE, which peaked during his title feud against Cedric Alexander in a great bout that showcased the best of Gulak's work in the entire brand. Both men's styles worked perfectly together, with them exchanging control back and forth at a steady pace for the first half, before the cleanest version of the suplex into ringside spot I've ever seen led them into a top-notch second half, filled with outstanding exchanges in a satisfying ending sequence. At number 4, Tony Nese vs Cedric Alexander. As mentioned earlier, Tony Nese became champion at Mania after winning a tournament. However, to get to that opportunity, he had to go through a man who had beaten him at every step of the way, Cedric Alexander. At first, they had a fairly standard bout, with basic attacks and few flashy moves. However, both men's desperation started becoming clear, with bigger spots and signature maneuvers. The near falls were on point, with Nese looking like $1,000,000 kicking out of everything Alexander threw at him, including the lumbar check. In the end, Nese managed to pick up yet another instrumental victory and climb the final step on his rise to the grandest stage of them all. All while Cedric had one last true barn burner before his inevitable move to the main roster. Before checking the top 3, I wanted to give props to a few honorable mentions. Neville vs Cedric Alexander. This encounter was one of Cedric's first great showings on 205 Live, and a great teaser for things to come from him. Cedric Alexander vs Akira Tozawa. As we approached Cedric's last days in the brand, he had this rare, first-time singles match that lived up to the hype in spite of a few botches here and there. Mustafa Ali vs Drew Gulak. Back in the early days of the brand, these men faced off several times, with this 2 out of 3 falls bout ending their battle of in-ring ideologies on a high note. Hideo Itami vs Buddy Murphy vs Mustafa Ali. In the middle of a feud between Ali and Murphy, Itami injected himself and gave us this well-executed triple threat to establish himself as a title contender. Kalisto vs Lince Dorado. This was the one and only time members of the Lucha House Party faced one another, and it was so good it kind of makes me wish they broke apart to have a rematch. The Lucha House Party vs Hideo Itami and Akira Tozawa. As part of the new direction of the show, this was one of the first feuds developed, which despite being a short one, still gave us this terrific tornado tag match. Cedric Alexander vs Leo Rush. Shortly after losing his belt, Cedric clashed with the division's newest member to bounce back to the title picture while putting Leo over in the process. Tony Nese vs Noam Dar. This was a fun no-DQ match that helped push Tony into the title scene with an incredible and definitive ending sequence. Akira Tozawa vs D. Brian Kendrick. One of the show's most long-lasting feuds ended in a big way in this no-DQ encounter that really helped establish Tozawa as a star in the brand. And Rich Swann vs D. Brian Kendrick. The one that started it all had some great moments in it and succeeded in making Swann the face of the brand at least for a short while. At number 3, Cedric Alexander vs Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight title. Murphy vs Alexander from Super Showdown is probably the most high-profile match this division has ever had, and is rightfully regarded as one of the greatest matches in the title's history. However, earlier that year, these men had an encounter that in my opinion was even better. It was the first time they faced each other, and it was a complete success, with a crowd completely hooked from the beginning thanks to this taking place in Cedric's hometown. They had a barn burner of a match that wouldn't have felt out of place had it occurred during the Cruiserweight Classic, thanks to their shockingly brilliant in-ring chemistry. From the near falls to the counters, this worked amazingly as Cedric's first big title defense, as well as Murphy's best showcase at that point. Not bad for a first-time match. At number 2, the Lucha House Party vs Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese in a tornado tag match. 205 did numerous tornado tag matches, but by far the most remarkable one was this clash between Grand Metalik, Lince Dorado, Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy. This match started at full gear and for the most part didn't slow down till the end. It was exactly the type of match one thinks of when speaking of Cruiserweight wrestling. A ridiculously fast pace, crazy flips, and innovative counters non-stop. Plus, it had a quality ending that came out of nowhere. This match actually made me want to see the then rumored Cruiserweight tag titles become a reality, as bad of an idea as they probably were. It was easily the highlight of this short feud, with Murphy and Metalik being the standout performers, and a nice step for Murphy on his way to the Cruiserweight title. And just like that, we reach what is in my opinion the peak of 205 Live as a show. At number 1, Mustafa Ali vs Buddy Murphy in a no disqualification match. Ali and Murphy had probably the best feud in the show's entire run, with several matches that got better every single time. It all reached its conclusion in this beautiful car crash of a match that had everything from jaw-dropping high-flying attacks, to painful sounding strikes, to the effective and creative use of the steel steps. It was quite possibly both men's greatest performance in their WWE careers, with Murphy's constant overpowering of Ali, and Ali outplaying Murphy whenever possible. In the end, after a grueling battle filled with practically every move on both men's arsenal, Ali hit Murphy with a picture-perfect swinging DDT off of the steel steps, to put an end to his opponent and truly establish himself as the heart of 205 Live. This was one of my personal favorite matches of 2018, in a true hidden gem of a match that I'm proud to call the best match in 205 Live's history. Obviously, there haven't been many matches of this caliber in recent months, as the best of the division is often reserved for NXT, but I still firmly believe in this show's quality. And while many of the names on this list are no longer with the brand, I think all the new members are more than capable of producing matches just as good, if not better, than the ones on this list. Did I miss any match? Leave a comment down below with your favorite 205 Live matches. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Pomi Wrestling for any update. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, see ya!